For years now, we have been told that Trump is eradicating human trafficking. This is one of the main reasons that he has so many supporters, and also how he has gained the trust of conservatives. What could possibly be worse than human trafficking? Ending human trafficking and saving the innocent lives that are abused daily is something all of the patriots can agree on. With that being said, what would you say if Trump wasn't really fulfilling his most important promise? If we have learned anything over the past 6 months, it's that Trump's words don't always match up with his actions. This chart has gone viral and claims that the trafficking arrests have grown 200% since Trump was elected. Arrests are public record, so I decided to research these numbers for myself. The first issue I realized is that the Trump administration has provided less information than any other president. For example, looking at both arrests made by ICE HSI, there were 1,952 ICE HSI arrests in 2016 and 1,588 ICE HSI arrests in 2018. Keep in mind that there are multiple units that make trafficking arrests, but the numbers under the Trump administration, for example, the FBI, were unclear. We asked the FBI for clarification and weren't given a clear answer. Accurate numbers of human trafficking related arrests made by the FBI also aren't fully clear for 2017 or 2019. The administration touts persecutions as victories against trafficking, but in fiscal year 2018, federal investigations in the Justice Department decreased from 783 to 657, as did the number of defendants charged with human trafficking. Although the numbers across the reports only vary by a few hundred, it is still significant enough to show that the Trump administration has not prioritized the end to human trafficking as they promised in the beginning, and the failure to provide the full reports is more than enough to make one question the legitimacy of their claims. So what about the money that the Trump administration has given to fight human trafficking? This is another important question that I wanted an answer for. In 2019, Trump, Ivanka, and AG Barr announced that they would be providing $35 million to help victims of human trafficking. The headline sounds like a great thing, but where did all this money actually go? This is a complete list of the organizations that the $35 million grant went to. The majority of the money was dispersed back into government entities. As I was researching each organization, I saw something that caught my attention. Prior to the disbursement of funds, the DOJ approves a list of organizations that the money will go to. In 2019, they had already been reviewed and approved, but at the last minute, 2 organizations were replaced with ones that had not been reviewed. In December, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees Local 2830 filed a complaint in which it asked the Inspector General to investigate. Later that month, the complaint was denied and those 2 pre-approved organizations were replaced as recommended recipients. The change was ultimately approved by Judge Catherine Sullivan, head of the Office of Justice Programs, who was appointed by Trump in 2017. We will be covering both of these organizations. The first one is the Lincoln Tubman Foundation. The Lincoln Tubman Foundation, which is located in Southern California, was founded in 2018. When I researched more information about the organization, I realized that there was really no information readily available. Not even a website or a social media page. Nonprofits are required by law to submit their financial statements and other information, including the salaries of directors, officers, and key employees to the IRS, and this is public information. After extensive research, I was able to find out that the founder of the Lincoln Tubman Foundation is registered under a Brooke Burris. This is the only information I was able to find out about the organization itself. In the original article that I found from Reuters, which detailed the organizations, this was the only description of the Lincoln Tubman Foundation. The foundation, which was awarded $549,345 over 3 years, was launched by the daughter of a prominent local Republican who supported President Donald Trump as a delegate at the 2016 convention and is close to South Carolina Republican Senator Tim Scott. No actual name can be found, only the daughter of a prominent local Republican. Why isn't the name mentioned? I was curious about this, and when I tried to figure out who it is, I noticed that multiple articles about it had been deleted. Next, I found that the original Reuters article did include the name of the founder, but it had been rewritten. What are they trying to hide? I figured out that her mother, the prominent local Republican who was a delegate for Trump in 2016, was Cynthia Mosteller. I found a few articles, but neither of them have a Wikipedia page. In fact, almost no one in Brooke's family has a Wikipedia page. Her father was a judge and owns a boat charting company. Brooke's mother, Cynthia, has been in politics for years. Brooke was a Miss South Carolina contestant, is a lawyer, and supposedly works for the Lynch Foundation for Children. But there is no wiki page? I don't think I've ever seen that before during all my research over the past several years. Before I gave up on digging, I saw another red flag. I noticed that Brooke Burris's full name is Cynthia Brooke Mosteller Burris. When I searched that name, an article popped up from January 2019 from a slowlyboiledfrog.com. In the article, the author describes a scandal involving a disbarred lawyer named Chris Sevier. Long story short, the author provides some interesting information about Cynthia Brooke Burris. Burris has claimed in the past that she worked for the National Association of Missing and Exploited Children. Here's what the article has to say. The National Association of Missing and Exploited Children is a phony organization. The real organization is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. At times, Burris has represented herself as a counsel for the real outfit. The use of the similar sounding name is intentional to confuse judges. I think that she confused herself. Burris did not bother to file a certificate of assumed name in North Carolina as required. Cynthia Burris is clearly out of her depth. I can find no record that she joined a law firm after obtaining her law license. Miss Burris seems to have some problems with telling the truth. On the LinkedIn article profile of Brooke Mosteller Burris, she claims to be the Director of Policy at the William D. Lynch Foundation for Children. She is not, at least not according to the foundation. I guess that she figured no one would notice. She also claims 2 brief stints as a law clerk in 2014 and 2015. It's possible, but according to the South Carolina bar, she was admitted to the practice of law in 2017 and did not graduate law school until 2016. That LinkedIn page has since been deleted. Why would Miss Burris lie about something that can be verified? Why is there so little information about her and her family? But the most relevant question is, why did the Trump administration award her a grant that had already been approved for a more reputable organization? These are questions we were unable to find the answers to, but when you look at the second organization that was given a grant, it can't help but make you question the legitimacy of the Lincoln Tubman Foundation if you aren't already skeptical. The second organization that Trump's grant money went to is Hookers for Jesus. It was founded in 2008 by an Annie Lobert. Lobert is an ex-prostitute who claims to have found Christ and uses her time now to minister to other women who are trafficked by going to porn expos and strip clubs in an attempt to bring them to truth. While on the surface this seems like it could be a noble cause, we would argue otherwise. Once you take a look closer, it seems as though there is something more sinister going on. One cause for concern we saw was that despite the $1.29 million they have been granted over the past few years by the U.S. government, they have only used $35,000 of said funds. Not only that, but they also have several GoFundMe campaigns that are currently active, and the most recent one that was created by Lobert herself says that they are in need of emergency funds to fix their company van. Why don't they use these grants that are to be used specifically for instances such as these? Their financial records are unclear, and it is nearly impossible to discover what is really going on behind the scenes when it comes to money transfers between the government and non-profit organizations. Not to mention that they should not have been eligible to receive the funds in the first place. The DOJ goes off of tiers when choosing an organization. Each nonprofit must be a 1 tier in order to qualify, but both Hookers for Jesus and the Lincoln Tubman Foundation are Tier 2. The organization's 2018 staff manual referred to homosexuality as immoral and required the survivors to attend a specific church multiple times per week. However, Lobert claims they do not discriminate based on religion or sexual orientation. Any group that does should be technically ineligible for federal funds, though the DOJ claims the staff handbook and other policies weren't required as materials from Hookers for the aforementioned union sought on investigation into whether politics factored into the groups being awarded a DOJ grant. In 2019, reviewers evaluating grant applications said Hookers for Jesus staff had little experience handling forms of human trafficking involving minors, men, and foreign nationals. DOJ reviewers ranked 2 other long-established anti-trafficking organizations, Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Palm Beach and Chicanos por la Causa of Phoenix, as more deserving of grants, but Hookers for Jesus was chosen over them. When we visited the Hookers for Jesus Wikipedia page, we noticed something at the top. It says Hookers for Jesus redirects here, for religious prostitution as practiced by the Family International, or the Children of God cult. See Flirty fishing. Flirty fishing is a form of evangelistic religious prostitution practiced by female members of the cult Children of God, currently known as the Family International, from around 1974 to 1987. According to some sources, hundreds of thousands of men were fished before the practice was discontinued. Remember the term fishing, it will be important later. The Family International is a cult which was founded in Huntington Beach, California in 1968. It was originally named Teens for Christ and it later gained notoriety as the Children of God. It was later renamed and reorganized as the Family of Love, which was eventually shortened to the Family. It is currently named the Family International. The Family International initially spread a message of salvation, apocalypticism, spiritual revolution and happiness, and distrust of the outside world. In 1976, it began a method of evangelism called flirty fishing that used sex to show God's love and mercy and win converts, resulting in controversy. The group was accused of sexually abusing and raping minors within the organization, with considerable evidence to support this claim. 1/8 of the total membership left the movement. Those who remained became part of a reorganized movement called the Family of Love, and later, the Family. The majority of the group's beliefs remain the same to this day. There have been several lawsuits against this cult over the years for sexual crimes. These lawsuits have led to claims that they have ended these abhorrent practices, but after viewing the evidence, there is no reason to believe that the abuse has ceased. Copies of the Family International's current curriculum can be found online, and it's worse than you can imagine. At a very young age, these children are conditioned to believe that giving their body to the church is literal. Younger children are given sexualized coloring books, and older children around the age of 12 are taught that masturbating and committing sexual acts for God and Jesus is considered normal. Curriculum includes directions with explicit language and is provided for all ages, even married couples. So what does this have to do with the Trump administration? Just a quick recap, the Trump administration approved a last-minute change to give a portion of the $35 million to Hookers for Jesus. Once again, their Wikipedia page includes flirty fishing, which is a form of religious prostitution practiced by female members of the Family International. Other than the wiki page, where else can we confirm this correlation? Well, the term fishing has been used several times by Annie Lobert, the founder of Hookers for Jesus. Here are a few examples. Who else inverted Matthew 4:19 and used the term flirty fishing for their cult? It was David Berg, the founder of Children of God, to condone the practice of flirty fishing.
Of all the cult leaders, it would be hard to find a bigger egomaniac than David Berg. His cult, the Children of God, which he founded in 1968, ended up mirroring his own worst narcissistic characteristics.
Some examples of David Berg's narcissistic personality disorder. He certainly had grandiose feelings. I mean, he felt that he was called by God as God's end-time prophet. He was predicting the end of the world numerous times. He was certainly obsessed with fantasies of unlimited success and fame.
For those born into Berg's cult, they had no choice but to follow his idealism.
David Berg often said that he was the only one with the wisdom. He was the only one who could interpret biblical prophecy. He was the last prophet of the end.
Berg created his own Bible in order to spread the idea of promiscuity.
He was involved in all kind of sexual deviancy.
Prostitution, he sold it as flirty fishing. He was the fisher. The women were the bait with the hook, and these lonely men, lots of money, were the fish.
Berg's idealism began to catch on. As the membership grew, shockingly, Berg removed the age limit for sexual partners.
Yes, Annie Lobert and David Berg both use the exact same verse and the same terminology. Since we know that the cult is still active, their curriculum is still vulgar even for children, and Hookers for Jesus is currently using the same terminology, we can't help but think that they are related. Is Hookers for Jesus truly saving these women, or are they recruiting? Why is the Trump administration knowingly funding an organization like this and ignoring the complaint made by the DOJ? Why did they qualify for a second grant while only using 6% of the first one? These are all questions that need to be answered.